join us. What?
My brother-in-law just texted me. He said, so let me see what he said. It just came through in 2 different texts.
Bro, you got a really long strap on that watch. I just know it. Like,
oh yeah, it's got it.
Is that meant to like be able to go around your neck?
I need to fix that. 3 messages. Oh God, I hope no one isn't a picture.
Hope so. No one's dead.
Here it goes. I wish you could have seen the shit I took this morning. It's been 12 hours now. Because it was huge. I had to grab it with to help pull it out. I don't know what that means. That's not a complete sentence, but it still kind of paints a picture.
You think he picked it up out of the toilet and threw it outside or something?
He said, the third text says 18 inches and like 4 or 5 inches in diameter.
Jeez, dude. Holy smokes.
Oh, man.
4 or 5 inches in diameter?
Yeah.
He's lying, dude.
I don't know, man.
Dude, this mic stand is like 5 inches in diameter, bro.
Well, not radius, so diameter. This is like that's
diameter is from one side to another.
Right. No, oh my God.
Not circumference.
Not circumference.
I bet he meant 45 inches circumference.
Yeah, that's gotta be what he means.
Because 4 to 5 inch circumference is like that's like a girthy. Like yeah, that is a thick.
This would be a.
It's not Coke can level, but it's thick.
This would be like a woman in labor giving birth.
Yeah, except I mean, a baby's cranium is bigger than 4 or 5 inches in diameter. It's way more.
10 centimeters is the. I don't know. I've had 2 kids. I don't know,
bro. 4 to 5. See the Zen can right there.
Yeah.
See that? That is less than 5 inches in circumference, and babies' heads are bigger than that.
No, I know, but I'm talking. I'm back to diameter now.
Oh, diameter.
Because the cervix gets to 10 centimeters.
Dude, imagine out a that like as round as this can. There's no way, dude. Your brother's, I would say, full of but he's clearly not. He's clearly emptied himself.
He's off, but I'm sure he's.
I'll use the other euphemism. He's talking out his ass.
I wish we had this ready to go.
Are we not recording right now?
We are recording. But
okay,
I wish we had the call in ready.
Oh yeah,
on the phone so that we could.
That'd be real baller. Anyways, this is the Mick and Pat Show. Yep. I'm Mick.
And I'm Pat.
And thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed that very casual intro. So, yeah, we are here on our, I don't know, this is probably going to be the 3rd or 4th episode. We're still trying to figure out which ones we like, which ones we want to re-record for a little bit more time given to certain subjects. Trying to make sure that we maintain and focus on a pretty good organic chemistry. So go ahead, make sure to use your comments. Those of you who are our early birds, our first cousins, you know, because that kind of goes along with kin. Mm-hmm. Those of you who are our first cousins who are kind of helping us develop the podcast and formatting and all that, go ahead and make sure to hit us up on our emails and let us know your thoughts. If anything feels disingenuous or you liked a different topic or something, or if you just don't like the way Pat's voice sounds.
If you want to hear less or if you want to hear more or something.
Honestly, if you want to hear less, it's going to be awkward because most of you are family. And not just like podcast listener family, like we're related to you or your in-laws. So,
I've really been wondering how much to like tell people, like broadcast like to my circles. And
I've told everybody.
Because I've also, so maybe we should do this separate then, where just for a little while, just because it's like you in your circle, we run in some of the same circles, but you get it out to all your circles, and I'm just not going to tell anybody.
You're not going to tell anyone?
Like I barely told my wife that we were even doing this before we started doing it.
All right, so I had a premonition. Mm-hmm. It's so funny that we talk about poop in church in the same podcast, but hey, that's just being authentic, you know. That's just gathering around the table with your kin. When you and your wife, Pat, your wife's name is not Pat. Side tangent. We should come up with nicknames for our wives and kids. just so that way we're used to not name dropping them, especially if they're going to be on for different topics later. Because I do imagine our wives will come on at some point to pull back the curtain and expose us. But anyways, when you and your wife went up and shared a little bit of, how you guys got involved in our church, I was sitting next to my wife and I leaned over and I told her, I said, I think you and Pat's wife are going to be really good friends here soon, because I think there's going to come a time where Pat and I are doing the podcast and then our wives are just chilling and doing their thing, because they honestly dress really similar. And your wife, although I don't know her well quite yet, the times that I've heard her drop like funny things and like kind of make jokes, I'm like, wow, dude, my wife would think that was a funny joke. And like, I'm just like thinking about it. I'm just like, they're going to be best friends and they're totally going to be a dangerous duo. And I'm excited about it.
I like it.
I think it'd be cool.
We'll set them up.
I think they'd get along really well. But anyways, you're probably listening to this, so, and you're probably already talking about us. But so you're not going to tell anyone? You're not going to let any, you're afraid. Here's what it is, dude. I think you're afraid.
I am embarrassed.
I think you're scared. You're embarrassed.
So here's what.
Oh my gosh. I knew it. Gosh, I totally put myself out there. I get vulnerable. I open up to you, give you my life story. And you're just like, I'm afraid for my family to know that I do this with you. That's life story right there, dude.
No, there's a part of like a performance piece in me that wants to like, I have certain levels of expectations for how this thing goes. And so then there's definitely like a little bit of like protecting myself from this, just the failure of something. But the other piece of me actually from a earnestly, I want to kind of experiment like where it's just, because I think it'd be really cool. And cool might not be the right word. It might be hurtful to some people, but if some people like found out about this show who were really close to me, not from me, and in like a big roundabout way. Like,
I mean, that would be cool, but also saying, like
how do we get it started? We got to tell people.
No, I mean, it'd be cool, but don't we like who's going to be more honest with you than your loved ones? Like, like who's going to be more honest with you than your dad? Your dad's going to come to you and be like, look, Pat, I know this isn't even actually what your father sounds like, but your father's going to come to you and be like, listen here, boy. The language you're using on that, dishonorable.
Talking
but I'll tell you what, it's funny as shit. And I think you're onto something here. Just don't talk about penises and poop as much. And that's honestly not at all what Pat's dad sounds like. Pat's dad is a really soft-spoken, nice guy. I've only had one conversation with him, but it was 2 hours.
It was probably lengthy.
You watched me. He hooked me, bro. We were standing and we were at church and he was visiting and he just like walked beside me and I introduced myself. And then we just talked about security at church and then to current political geopolitics of Israel. And I was there's no getting away. And I remember watching you sit on the couch knowing like he's done, dude. He's hooked.
I sat on the couch with my coffee and just watched it happen.
Yeah, you realized, you knew, I could read it in your eyes that you were telling me like through like Morse code with your eyelids. I could tell you were like, you will not get an exit to this conversation till lunch. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I mean, he's a good conversation though.
That's the funny thing about
Pat's dad. I'm going to give you credit, man. You're good at talking, and I enjoyed talking with you.
Oh yeah, he's definitely gifted in
gift of gab,
and like, but what's also, it's not just like surface level. It goes deep fast, not in like a guy who like just walks up to you and starts oversharing about his secrets fast. Like not like that sort of like
well, I went to jail.
Whoa, not like
don't be open up about that.
Yeah, or like there's guys who just like that start spilling their guts and they've learned to be too vulnerable or whatever. It's not that, but it's a genuine deep conversation that just gets going all of a sudden.
Yeah, man. And you know what? Same thing happened with you. Well, not like we had our first sit down doing care team. I remember we sat down, we gave like pretty much like 20-minute testimonies of how we came to know Jesus. And we were sitting on the other side of the one-way mirror in the
top secret security room.
Yeah, in the nursery room at our church. It's perfect because it's a one-way mirror. And if you turn the lights off, you get actually like, you're not distracting anyone there. No one's like, is that guy security? Or is he just creepy? And like, you can see the whole atrium and kind of, well, most of it. And you can make sure like no one's doing anything fishy. But you guys are two peas in a pod, I think, because you both, like you said, you know, you guys are quick to showing genuine interest in what someone has to say. And not just that, but also responding with like topical, you know, like your responses are responses of someone who is listening and adding to the conversation and not like, I would say your dad's good at this. You're also really good at it, but I don't want to make this awkward because I know how emotional you get when you get compliments. But it's usual. I would say most people nod their head, but really they're just waiting to speak. And when someone's done talking to them, sometimes they speak in that person and you immediately know, you're like, okay, that person was half listening because what they just responded to what I was saying is pretty much a totally different topic and not in the same lane. And it's not even like a really good response to anything I just said. It's like totally new topic that has nothing to do with what we were just talking about because they were just waiting for their turn to talk. They weren't listening. And I think you and your father are really good at having like a genuine, like every time I'm in a conversation with you guys, I feel like you're digesting what I'm saying and then returning with like something that makes me want to listen and also think. And so, and I think that's just, you know, that's not common nowadays, dude. Most people are just waiting for their turn to speak.
Yeah. I think I got the benefit, like growing up, I got the benefit of sitting and listening to my dad talk to other adults, or like when I was a little kid, him talking to folks older than me, but whether that was a middle school kid, high school age kid, college age kid, grown man, old man. But I just spent a lot of time sitting and listening to adults having conversations. And so sometimes I have to be careful not to like fall into that just sitting and not speaking my voice, but at the same time, it did give me the ability to truly listen to people and like take those things in. And I think part of it for me too is like, and this is common for a lot of folks, is like a deep, not maybe deep fear or like people don't want to be misunderstood. And when we feel like we're being misunderstood, that is like a place where, if you've ever been there, it feels so uncomfortable. You don't want to be in that space. And so I've felt misunderstood in a lot of cases. And so then I think that subconsciously that like pushes me to seek understanding with others in what they're saying, because I want them to be on the same page. And it's like, if you get done talking to somebody about something, whether it's serious or a business idea or just even a joke, and they're like just blank staring you and they're like, I don't get it. Yeah. You're like, now I feel weird. Yeah. I feel like I showed you a part of myself.
Kind of exactly how I feel explaining this podcast to people.
Yeah. I know. They're like, because we have, it's not like, if we were professional mountain bikers, this would be about mountain biking. We talk about mountain biking gear and the latest guys up and coming and all the stuff and that we do. And that would be what it was about. But that's not what it's about. And we haven't, so we're not going to be drilled into a specific topic for the entirety of this podcast. So I think it's when I tell people, they're like, yeah, we're starting a podcast. Because if the world needs one more thing,
there's another podcast.
It's another podcast.
You know, you said you really enjoyed listening to your dad talk to people when you were growing up. That must have been nice. I wish I had a dad that I could listen to. Dude. That's gonna be the most recurring bit on this podcast. Is that I'm gonna guilt trip Pat with anything he says about his dad and me not having one, which really, I'm not emotionally insecure about it, dude. Yeah. Like I'm totally fine about it. You know, it's not something that's like upsetting to me.
See, that's like one of these times when it'll be real, and I just
it won't be real ever. It will never be real. Anyone who knows Mick makes jokes about being made in the lab. For those of you who haven't listened to the episode yet, or if it comes out after this one, I'm like a powder puff girl. I was cooked up in a lab by a scientist
with chemical X,
sugar, spice, and everything nice. And no, honestly, I was just I'm a sperm donor, baby. My mom flipped through a book, laminated pages, people with photographs of handsome dudes, and she just picked the most handsome Irish one that was going to be really diverse down the line. And so here I am now.
Have you ever done like a 23andMe type thing?
Dude, it's funny you say that because I got an ad about it. And I looked it up, and apparently that's why sperm donor places can't guarantee anonymity anymore. That all changed. That the whole DNA stuff changed the game, because they used to be able to guarantee like, we'll protect your anonymity and anonymity. Anemone. We'll protect your identity and make sure that they can't contact you, right? If you don't want them to. And if you used to try not as a child, but if you're a woman and you received a sperm donor's sperm, and then you tried getting in contact with a donor, you could be taken to court over it by the sperm donor clinic. And they could Colorado law, I think, was like $20,000 as a fine.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know how often they actually went to court over that. I think it was usually just like a paper threat. But with that, when 23andMe and Ancestry came out, people just started doing that, finding out who they're genetically related to, and then getting in contact with their donors. And I think about it, but I don't think about it enough to really consciously decide if I want to do that or not. I think the biggest thing is I don't want the government to just have my DNA and know when I'm going to get cancer.
And the Mormons.
Yeah, and the Mormons.
That's what the database is for.
I see. I mean, maybe I'm sure there's a Mormon genetics company that keeps track of that stuff.
Ancestry.com.
Is Mormon owned?
Is Mormon owned.
Hey, to our Mormon kin out there, we love you. Well, there's some things the Mormons do that are weird.
I was listening to a Mormon guy talk about this too, where it's like, it's the same it can be very similar to the same label as like Christians, or it's a broad, you can get Westboro Baptist folk. Yeah. All the way over to
Westboro Baptist, not kin. Just wanted to throw it out there. Like, hey, if you're part of Westboro, we'll sit down and talk with you. But talk to you. Yeah, we'd love to talk to you. But I'm going to be straight up, dude. We don't want to be associated. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
I don't want to go protesting people's funerals.
No way, dude. But so yeah, the also for Ancestry.com or like the 23andMe. I was like,
is 23andMe Mormon too?
I don't know.
I can't believe they all own them.
Just they own everything.
They own a lot, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, most dental practices, they're always dentists.
I know only Christian dentists. I don't know any Mormon dentists.
I only know Mormon dentists.
Well, it's because you grew up. You're from Tejas. You have some time in Tejas.
Yeah, but during my time in Texas, I didn't know what a Mormon was. I moved to Colorado Springs, and someone was like, "I'm a Mormon," and I'm like, "What the hell is that?"
Mormons are the ones who don't get naked in the locker room.
No,
that was a joke. That was just a joke about Mormon underwear and stuff.
Oh yes, because they're
whoosh right over the head.
No, yeah, I think that I want to come up with my own special underwear. I need to look into the Mormon underwear thing more because
Mick and Pat,
just to understand it more.
Make sure there's enough padding for your Mick Johnson.
Yeah,
I think that could be a thing.
So
if you're an underwear company, reach out to us. We'd love to do a sponsorship, like, co-thing. Make our underwear, our faces on it. Because if there's anything you want, is to wear underwear that has dude faces on it.
On each one,
Some
on each
dudes
cheek.
do want that, though, I feel like, so who knows?
I'm loyal to one brand, Ex Officio.
I don't know what that is.
It's the underwear you need.
I'll be honest, dude. I'm white bread, dude. I just get Hanes and Fruit of the Loom.
guy?
I'm a Hanes Fruit of the Loom guy. I have some nice underwear that like my wife or like I had a good friend who bought me boxes as a Christmas gift because they were like outdoor, like you can wear them for like 7 days when you're just like backpacking.
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of like self-cleaning with wool and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
Keeps you from having famunda cheese.
Mm-hmm.
And those are nice, but I only have like one pair of, each of those off-brand ones. Everything else comes in a multi-pack of 3 different colors.
I
have the briefs and I got the boxers because it just depends on the day, man. When it's hot out,
no tidies.
No tidies, dude. No tidies, bro. Come on.
Oh, my son just graduated from diapers to undies, and it's hilarious watching him run around in like superhero tidies.
Bro, just get that kid briefs, man. Come on, just get him briefs.
There's a time when it's
no kid
there's
wants
a time for it.
No kid wants to see themselves wearing whitey tidies or any undies. You know what I mean? Like they get to elementary school and they're like, Dad, come on, I don't let anyone see those pictures, Dad. Smoke break.
Smoke break.
Hey, kid, it's Mick, and I've got something important to talk about. We all hope we never find ourselves in a self-defense situation, but life's unpredictable. Enter the National Self-Protection Plan from Attorneys on Retainer, an actual credible law firm you can put on retainer for your self-defense needs. For just $35 a month, you get national coverage in all 50 states for criminal and civil legal representation in self-defense situations, complete with a 24/7, 365 toll-free emergency line. That's real legal support when you need it most. What's in the package? Bail bonds, scene cleanup, firearm replacement, even mental health counseling. Plus, 0 fees for a laundry list of defense-related costs like expert witnesses. So support the show and get yourself some peace of mind. Click the link in our show notes or visit our sponsors page to sign up for the National Self-Protection Plan from Attorneys on Retainer.
Hey folks, Pat here. If you're like Mick and I, you're a fan of classic tales like Lonesome Dove, Blood Meridian, The Three-Body Problem, and Steinbeck's East of Eden. With Audible, you can dive into these epic stories anytime, anywhere. Sign up for a free month, and your first audiobook is on the house. To start your free trial and support our show, click the link in the show notes or swing by the sponsors page on our website.
Want an awesome website for your podcast? Check out Podpage. We use it for the Mick Pat Show, and it's a game changer. Set it up in minutes, no coding needed. Support the show by using our link to get started. Your podcast deserves a home as great as ours. Podpage, the one-stop solution.
Mm-hmm. I had an idea for a pant. I don't know any
pant, just like
pant.
one leg.
Yeah, I don't know anything about textiles or blends.
Clearly,
but I think I want to make a pant called
I don't think so, man.
the ball weather pants.
I thought you said a pant.
Well, yeah, but I want to make some ball weather pants. So
you want to make pants or a pant? Because a pant is, I think, one leg.
We need to,
and that's why they're called a pair of pants.
But that's double.
A pair of pants.
Wouldn't that be a pair of pant?
No, it is. But it's plural because they're pants and they come in pairs.
I wonder what the origin of the word pants
You don't
is.
say a pair of sock, right? You say a pair of socks.
You're right.
And so, gosh, damn, that was so good. I got to remember that later. Anyways, that was off the top of my head. But when you say pant, like you're going to make... Actually, I could see something here. Hold on. Hear me out. Because I think the weirdos would like this one. $1 million idea out here. Make sure to credit us. I want 1% of profits. We sell pant. One pant in a package. $10 a pant. each pant comes with a. Actually, no, we sell them in pairs, but they're separate in the bag. So that, and they're like different colors and styles.
You mix and match.
And there's a zipper that runs from the top, like where your normal jean zipper would be with a button, and it zips all the way up through the back. So that way you can mix and match. Like if your left leg is feeling like joggers that day, and your right leg's feeling like bootcut jeans, you zip them together. Mm-hmm. You got two different pants.
I like it.
But you're like, and like from one side you're looking like city fashionable. The other side, you look like you're actually going to go work a hard, laborious job today, actually earn your money. Dude, I could see that selling, bro. Freaking high school kids wear the silliest crap nowadays, and I could see that being a big hit.
Zipping it all the way down through the fleshy front bridge up the crack.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, we clearly would have like a like lip that goes over the zipper on the inside, of course, so that way you never have to worry about like that cold metal rubbing on your bum
or zipping up. If you've ever zipped up your business,
you make that mistake once as a kid, and then you never make it again.
I feel like I make it once every 5 years. Well, then you're like, okay, we got to revisit the lesson. But the sounds a little intense. But the dump out opportunities.
Oh yeah, dude. Think about this. Think about like when you've been in the woods dropping a deuce. What's the number one issue when you're dropping a deuce in the woods? You got camping pants on, and they're around your ankles, and your back's pushed up against a tree, and you're trying to drop a poop, but you're not trying to have it land in the pants around your ankles, and you're not trying to have yourself pee in the pants around your ankles. Rather than have to take your pants off all the way, straight up just open up the Great Divide, let it all hang out. Your pants just stay up around your waist, dude. Like they just stay up there, but everything is out, and you don't have to worry about pooping or peeing on your pants. Dude, I'm about this. This is $1 million idea. I don't care what people say. I would actually buy those just for the sake of having them when I go camping.
It's the next iteration of the zip off. The zip off shorts.
The pioneers were genuinely pioneers when it comes to clothing, because they had the butt flap. And dude, if I had that, bro, that would save. Well, honestly, I don't know how they do that and didn't also pee. Because like every time I try to drop a deuce, I also pee. Help me out. That's normal, right?
It is.
Okay, so like, how do you have the butt flap out to go poop and not just pee your pants in those like onesies?
It's you got to go for the hard tuck. Anyways, so this whole pants thing around the ankles reminds me of a story from college, freshman year. Psych,
these are always good.
Psych 101.
Make sure to use aliases when we're talking college stories, okay?
Alrighty.
Make sure we don't actually name drop any of our homies.
I was in Psych 101, and I had an assignment due that morning. So I lied. And so
as usual.
I did. So I wrote down, and I said that we're supposed to do a social experiment. And I wrote down that for the last 3 weeks, every time I'd gone to the bathroom in a public bathroom, I just went up to a urinal and did it like 3-year-old style.
You pooped in the urinal?
No. But grown man, like pull your pants all the way down. Just pants down to ankles.
Yeah.
And then pee in the urinal.
Yeah.
And I basically made up some stuff about how, some people were totally freaked out. Some people didn't care, blah, 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 all this stuff. And then the next time I come to class, it's one of these big 101 classes, like 300 kids in the class.
How the hell was that an excuse for not having a paper den? Can you please explain to me
why I had no? This is how I rolled for a while. But I mean, this is I got to, it was an 8 a.m. I was not focused whatsoever in this 101 class. So I get there anyways, freshman year. So
your teacher looked at you like you were stupid.
No, the next week she made me get up in front of class because she said it was the greatest experiment she'd seen come. She said it was the greatest social experiment she'd seen come through in years, and wanted me to stand up and tell the whole class about the whole thing and go into great detail about the whole experiment. So I had to I caught in a lie, and I had to play it all the way out. And so I stood up and I told some more fake stories about this experiment, and there it is, coming clean. You heard it here.
All right, but you have to understand that is absolute horse. Like you didn't do an assignment, and your reasoning had nothing to do with something that would get in the way of doing the assignment.
No, I just didn't do it.
But you said you used it as an excuse of why you didn't do it. You said, all right, so a little bit. Rewind. Mm-hmm. You said, so I didn't do this thing, and I got in class, and I used this excuse that the reason it wasn't done was because I was doing this psychological experience.
Oh, no. The assignment was...
Oh, do something?
The assignment was, you were supposed to have conducted this experiment for a few weeks, and I'd procrastinated never having done it. And so then I had to just come up with something. Okay. And so I said I had done this experiment. That was the assignment.
Interesting. Okay, I have another one like that. Mm-hmm. That's a fascinating one.
Someone should do it.
Did you actually land that? Like, did you get a good grade?
I got an A, and she got me up in front of the whole class to like celebrate my creativity, the experiment, the whole thing.
Gift of gab, bro.
So then I had to. I was full of crap, and it's not the first time that happened. If my buddy's Mark is out there listening, you know what I'm talking about. Little Frankenstein AP Lit situation. Mm-hmm. We can get to that story later, but yeah,
that's funny, dude. That's funny. I had a similar one. I was a junior in college, and a couple guys from my Bible study that I was leading, they were freshmen. They were. I'd meet up with them in the dining halls often and get those free swipes in to get some nice lunch while on campus. Perks of mentoring freshmen and hanging out with them is that they're willing to use guest swipes on you to get you in. And there was this one guy named, just gonna call him Louie, and Louie and I we got along really well. I got along with all of them well, but it was just Louie and this one guy who I'll call Broseph. And those were our first two guys at the Bible study. Hey man, make sure you're near the mic. They can't hear you if you're laughing. They think I'm just talking to myself. No. And so Broseph gets up, goes to get some more food, and I lean over to Louie and I say, Louie, let's do this thing. You know, the classic office bit where every time we leave the dining hall, we grab these mints, because there's always mints by the door, and we give one to Broseph. And before we give him a mint in his hand, like, you know, we hold out our hand with the mint for him to put his hand out. Mm-hmm. And every time before we drop in his hand, we say bodacious.
Just every time.
Every time. Every day. Multiple meals a day. Because they were freshmen, you know, and so they were having meals together most of the time they were hanging out. And I remember Louie was just like, dude, I don't know if that's going to work, but all right, let's try it. And dude, Broseph never caught on. And he just would ask for like a whole year, like weeks in, months in. After winter break, he'd just be like, dude, why do you guys say bodacious? Like, what up with it? And we'd just be like, dude, well, man, that was a bodacious meal, man. And then, dude, I remember noticing the first time where like he asked about it, and then I said the word bodacious, and I just remember watching him go, like, smacking his lips,
Pavlov
dude. Yeah,
him.
Dude, I did, bro. It was awesome. And so we revealed it to him at the end of the semester, and we're like, we would just be like, bro, bodacious, and he'd like just be like, gosh, wow. And then we're like, hey, Broseph, dude, like, we just want you to know we've been Pavloving you. We've been saying that every time we give you a mint from the dining halls, and have you ever grabbed a mint for yourself from the dining halls? And he was like, oh my God. Like, I don't think I have. And he was like, it actually is. I want a mint so bad right now. And he was salivating. He's like, I feel like my breath is bad. What the heck? Like, this is whack. And like, it psychologically did a number on him. And my buddy Louie was in Psych, his second semester of freshman year. And he wrote, that's what his final paper was on. He got an A on it. And that he actually brought in Broseph to talk. So it's like, you know, evidence. Because it was 100%. We just pulled it from the office, right? You know, when they're doing it, when Jib's doing that to Dwight and just Pavloving Dwight with giving him a mint every time he turns his computer on. And so we didn't want them to think it was fake. So we made sure that Broseph was willing to testify on the behalf, because it was awesome. I didn't think it was going to work either. I was like, bodacious might be just too obscure. You know, it might not have an effect, but dude, it had an effect on him for like years. Yeah, like I mean, like I remember hanging out with him like his senior year in college, and he was just like, "Hey, dude, I still like every time I grab a mint, I still say in my brain bodacious with like out, like I can't help it." But we Pavloved ourselves too. That was part of it. It was like
did it to yourself.
Well, yeah, we didn't realize it, but we'd say bodacious, put a mint in his hand, and then we put mints in our mouths.
Yeah.
And so now every time I get one of those red white mints, I just say bodacious under my breath. So just know whenever you're giving that treatment to someone else, I bet Pavlov, his mouth watered every time he rang that bell, even if he wasn't eating the dog food. Like I bet he just cognitively associated that.
Could have happened. It's like are you a Seinfeld fan?
Dude, I'm becoming one just because I'm a big Larry David fan. And Curb Your Enthusiasm, Larry David, and he wrote most of Seinfeld. And I'm getting around to it. I'll be honest, season 1 of Seinfeld is rough. It's so not funny. It's just like, it's like the worst.
Doesn't get you.
It's just, dude, I think it's the worst jokes. It's like those stand-up jokes where it's just like, airplane food, am I right? And it's just like, dude, is someone finding this funny? Season 2 was better though. Season 2 started actually getting me laughing.
Because there's an episode where George Costanza, he thinks he can have the best of both worlds, so he starts to eat sandwiches while making love.
What?
And so he's sneaking it though. He's like sneaking a sandwich
That's
in the middle
incredible.
of the love making. And so he's like, he thinks he can have the best of both worlds. And obviously it doesn't work out for him when he incorporates sports radio as well. So he's eating a sandwich and listening to a baseball game in his ear.
I bet his stamina went through the roof.
And so it messed him up. But then the last scene of the episode is he's in a sandwich shop and he's like, can we get some rye, so can we get a sandwich over here? And then it shows up, and then he's like, I don't know what's going on. I'm feeling flush. I just
That's awesome.
He messed himself up.
Dude, George Costanza is actually just a more exaggerated version of Larry David. Like he wrote George Costanza to just be
him.
Yeah, and a lot of like that stuff is just like actual things he went through or stupid things he did, but just exaggerated, right? So he might have actually. I wouldn't be surprised if Larry David actually straight up tried listening to sports broadcasts for like baseball or basketball while having sex. Like he's just the type of dude to do that, and I bet he added the sandwich thing in because it's funny. But dude, yeah. And for anyone out there who hasn't watched Curb Your Enthusiasm, if you like how cringy and funny The Office is, and how you just bite your lip and grind your teeth when Michael Scott is talking, give Curb Your Enthusiasm a chance. It is that times 100. And the first season of it, you'll be like, oh my gosh, this is entertaining just because it's like watching a train accident. Like it's actually worse than a train accident. It's like watching a semi-truck full of cattle tip over on the highway. But and you're like, I wish I could stop, but I just want to see how much worse it can get. And then you start laughing at it because you start catching on to inside jokes. And Curb Your Enthusiasm is one of those shows that really commits to the like 4 or 5 season long bits. Like it's very self-referential. And by the time you're on like season 5, you feel like you're in a club. You're like, oh my gosh, no one gets this, but I get it because that's a quote back to like season 3. And it's hilarious, man. It's so good. Larry David, if by any chance you ever listen to this, I think you're an awesome guy and you should come on our podcast because we would love to sit down and talk with you.
One of my favorite shows with that would carry stuff through just seasons and seasons. And like they maybe hadn't even referenced it for like.
Wait, hold on. Can I guess?
Yes.
Arrested Development.
That's a good one too. But this one's not on the same level as those shows, but I just love it, is Psych.
Oh, dude, my wife loves Psych.
I love Psych.
She loves it, and like she like explains it. We'll be like, it's one of those shows where like we'll be driving around and I'll say something. She's like, oh my gosh, that reminds me of this one episode of Psych where I don't know what their guys are. I should know what their names are by this point. Sorry, honey.
Well, Sean and Gus.
Yeah, Sean and Gus, dude. I'll be honest. Gus is funny. Like I've watched like 4 episodes of that show, and I would definitely keep coming back to watch Gus. Sean, I think he gets on my nerves, but I think he gets on my nerves because I see a little bit of myself in him. You know what I mean? I see it and like I don't know necessarily like what I see, you know, of like Sean's characteristics that annoy me. But dude, Gus is hilarious. And I love his forever trying to get lucky and forever not, like, just before the finish line, not able to seal the deal.
Just can't get it done.
Yeah. Which we watched the movie or whatever for Psych.
I haven't watched them because I'm afraid.
Apparently they're pretty good. Like, I didn't really pay attention to them that much. I was kind of doing work on a computer or something, but my wife was watching them. And one of them, apparently Gus is like getting married, and it's like, finally, you know, like it's not, that's like the plot of the whole show, right? I'm not like spoiling. It's not like something that happens in it. Like the plot of the whole movie is like Gus is going to get married soon. So that was pretty entertaining, but yeah, I'll be honest. I just haven't committed to that show. That one and Schitt's Creek are the ones that my wife is, you know,
love those ones.
Yeah. She's kind of like, if you love me, you will submit to me in this and you'll watch these shows with me. And it's like, honey, I love you, but we could watch those, or we could watch Breaking Bad a third time.
And it's like, sometimes like after something like Breaking Bad or like Sons of Anarchy, I gotta go back to the Psych just because.
Watch all of them all the way through?
All of
Sons of Anarchy and Breaking Bad? Impressive.
It messes you up by the end. Like if you, those are shows,
real depressed.
Those shows when you binge them, you're like,
I never even watched Sons of Anarchy because I just saw it and I was like, that sounds like a show that's going to make me feel worse about not having a dad.
Those shows too, like when you're watching Walter White, you're like, I'm going to become a chemist and buy an RV2. Or like with Sons, you're like, what's the big deal about like running guns? I don't see a big deal with that. But then like those shows that pull the plot line through the entire show, they're awesome, epic shows. But then sometimes you just need the Psych. It's one episode. It concludes every time. It's not that dark. Like, dude, like if you binge shows, like if you binge SVU,
wow, yeah, you're not going to leave your house.
Don't do that to yourself. It's gross, and you think that the whole world's full of like, you know, just.
It is though. Those are real stories. Real victims.
Yeah, but sometimes I think about what if the amount of criminals that were in the metaverse of that is TV show criminals. What if there were that many that bad of people in America all the time? So like
there are. As someone who worked in law enforcement and worked in a jail,
not on a week, but there's not, if there's, you know, NCIS, Los Angeles, New Orleans, whatever, like every city, and then like same with like SVU, every single one where it's like, but the ones that
murder of the week
or also Criminal Minds. There's like literally a serial killer who's killed like 70 people, a new one every week.
Nah, 70. It's usually like 3 or 4 victims a week.
But they'll routinely be like, oh, this person was like this guy's killed 13 people or whatever. But like, imagine if that was the news headline, like that many shows weekly, and that was the news headlines every week. I just think.
Bro, you know why it's not the news headlines every week?
I don't.
I'm going to tell you this. This is an ugly side of politics. Local politics.
They just hide it out.
No, for real, dude. Like, one of the reasons that stuff's not in the headlines is because it's either going to hurt someone's, you know, political career, or it's going to benefit them. And when it benefits them, it usually will make it in the headlines. But nowadays, like, dude, a lot of people don't realize this, but like the whole like FBI serial killer unit, what is it? Profiling, I can't remember the actual department's name, but the way they pick where to go next, you know, this is just what I was told was like really the agenda of how they pick where to go next.
BAU, Behavioral Analysis Unit?
But I don't even know if that's really what it's called.
Is that a TV one?
But I've heard it's pretty much just on like which governor or senator pretty much has the most sway. And then that's the one they prioritize
to go help that local place out.
Yeah. I mean, and it really is like, you know, a small town with similar murders. Bro, the FBI has not shown up to that thing for years. If you ever, I've heard that like, and I just say this after someone I spoke with an FBI guy. He went to a church I went to as a kid growing up, and he had really bad cancer. and I remember he was dying, like he wasn't long on this earth. But he would just I just ask him questions on Sundays in the coffee shop, and he'd just tell me a lot of it. And like he was legit, dude. Like he had like all of his photos and his badges and stuff. And I remember just like hearing his stories and like how they kind of, it's really politically motivated stuff. And, Timbuktu out there in rural Montana with 3 or 4, consistently patterned murders. Mm-hmm. FBI is never going on to that stuff, dude. Like not unless it can really get petitioned hard. And I think a really good example I heard of was Wind River. I heard Wind River, that movie, is like pretty accurate to like how hard it is to actually get the federal government to send resources and give a shit about something that's going to give them no political clapback. Like really, like maybe now with how kind of politically correct it is to care about minority populations and things like that, maybe now there will be more done for like the Native American community with how many people are disappearing and murdered in that community. Mm-hmm. But Wind River did a really accurate portrayal. At least that's what I've been told, of just like how hard it is to actually get the resource and help from the government when you have a situation like that. And that wasn't even like a serial killer situation. That was just one person was murdered and raped, and that was just one out of, gosh, I can't remember what this number is. It's like 50 a year. Native American women just go disappearing, and then like maybe their bodies are found later on, and nothing's ever done about it because they just don't have the resources to really investigate and find it and like press charges. But all that said, a lot of it is under the rug because like a local mayor or governor or county commissioner or city board has just kind of enough of a pull or a sway to kind of get some resources to kind of keep it suppressed. Because like at any time right now, this is just, you could look this stuff up. At any time, there are on average 1 to 2 serial killers operating in each of the U.S. 50 states.
Wow.
Like operating like unsolved. We don't have any idea what they are, who they look like. Like, but there's a pattern here. And if you think about it, there's only 52 weeks in the year. And so if there's a new one each week for the for the BAU unit, it actually kind of
might add up.
Yeah, it adds up as you're just flying around in a jet from state to state to state. By the time it's a year later and you already got the Colorado one a year ago, now there's a new one.
I'd be too scared to be a serial killer. I feel like I'd get caught.
Well, you wouldn't, bro, because you watch all those shows. You know what not to do.
Yeah, but all those shows came out before Ring doorbells, man.
Yeah, but come on, dude. Is it really hard to not get caught? Like, shit, just wear a mask.
That's true.
And then put like a sticky note over it.
That's true. That's true.
Have you seen? I just feel like people are dumb, bro.
Have you seen some of there's scary videos? It's all the Ring doorbell videos of people trying to break in houses or whatever.
I have a Ring doorbell, and once a week at minimum here in town, I'm getting notifications of somewhere local in our town where someone's pulling on a door, trying to get into a house that's not theirs. Yeah, often I feel like it's probably people who are drunk or, on fentanyl or something like that. But sometimes you could tell like they are straight up casing this place and they don't realize that there's a Ring doorbell. Some whack stuff, dude. And that's local in a small town, small Colorado town.
Oh yeah. It gets me. I think that some porch pirates stole a package off my porch.
Bro, that stuff does get me real pissed. Like there's 2 things in life that really get me mad, like more than anything else. I genuinely think they only get me mad because they got my grandmother mad. She's still alive.
Intolerance of other people groups and the Dutch.
No, that doesn't really get me that mad at all, actually, because whether you like it or not, everyone's intolerant of somebody, right?
That was Austin Powers quote.
That is right. Damn evil Dutch. Lying and stealing. Like it's the 2 things my grandma always told me. She's like, there's only two things that are like, there's two things you don't want to be in life. And that's a liar or a thief. And if you're either of those, you're going to have a lonely, miserable life because no one's going to trust you. And the worst thing is to be a lying thief or steal and cheat. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Now, she's pretty old school, Midwest, rural Michigan raised. That makes sense, right? Like that's kind of, lines up for that culture. Yeah.
I mean,
I'll be honest.
People with values.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I can't stand racism either. Like,
oh yeah.
But that's low hanging fruit. I feel like. Feel like lying and thieving is like something that a lot of people kind of like
overlook.
Oh, well, like it was just a white lie. Or like, well, that sucks, but I'll just get Amazon to refund me the package. Dude, my blood boils, man. You could cook an egg off the top of my head when I find out someone stole something of mine or even of anyone else's. Like, if I opened up on my Ring doorbell and saw like my neighbor's stuff got stolen, I'd be pissed, bro. I'd probably spend a whole day just trying to get that person caught and like send that footage to the police, all that stuff.
When, like a couple times in college, my car got broken into and stuff got stolen out of it.
For real. That's never happened to me.
And it was just like, it's funny. One of the times I kept like a change cup in a cup holder and it was full of change. And I actually had my keys sitting on the change cup. Like I accidentally left them in there once and I came outside and the keys were on the ground, but they dumped they took the change cup and like two other little things. And it's because, did I report it? No, I was just glad my car wasn't stolen.
Yeah.
So they kept it low enough crime that it wouldn't draw too much like heat. But when that happens, I feel so violated because like I know my head was 20 feet away from that. Like while I was sleeping, 20 feet away from me, somebody freaking did that to me. And
yeah. Actually, there was one time I was working at Sears and I came out and my truck was like an old school pickup truck, 1988 GMC S15, all red, interior cab, single bench seat. It was balling. I loved it. Long bed too. But anyways, I remember I was just like ho-hum swinging my lanyard around with my keys on it. And as I'm walking up, I'm like, oh, that looks like my truck. I'm like, that is my truck. And there's just the driver door open and like the indoor light was on and there's just a dude in it hunched over and like going at my stereo, trying to pull out my stereo. And I just put like probably $2,000, which back in the time, minimum wage back in like 2011, it was like 6 months of pay for me.
Yeah, it's a lot
in
of
high
money.
school. I've been saving up for a long time for this awesome sound system and radio in the truck. And so, I don't know, man. I didn't think really at all of like consequences or anything like that. I was like, oh dude, what the f is this guy doing? And I remember going up and, he had his back to me and he was spinning around. I was like, and I just like grabbed him on the shoulder, but didn't like whip him around or anything, but I just firmly grabbed his shoulder. I was like, dude, what the f? And like probably halfway through that, he jumps like frightened, turns around and hits me in the face with his elbow. And I still in the back and he like busted my lip and my nose. And he's like, just like this crackhead dude with like a screwdriver and like scrawny dude. And, he was just like, it's clear he didn't know what the hell he was doing because he was just using the screwdriver trying to pop out my stereo and scuffing it all up. And so I remember just kind of posting up because I thought he did it intentionally. And he took he just bolted off, just ran off, like frightened, like scared. Like I don't think he thought anyone was going to catch him. Like, was left there overnight in the parking lot or something. And I didn't even think about calling the police. I was just like, damn. So I got on my truck, drove home. My mom saw my face was busted up. She's like, what the hell happened to you, Mick? Good Lord. And I was like, I got this dude breaking into my car. She's like, we're calling the police. I'm like, what? No, like, come on. Like, what's the point? Like, I didn't get away with anything. And I mean, I didn't have to like fight for my life, I don't want to do that. But she did. And I had to do like an investigation. It was just.
And then they found him, right?
No, dude. I got one phone call from the detective.
He's gone.
And he was like, can you walk me through what happened here and just talk me through it all? I was like, yeah, man. And I just walked him through and he's like, I'll be honest, you're not giving me much to go on. I was like, I don't have much, dude. It was like a 20-second interaction at most, if that. And I'm not very motivated to catch this dude because I probably forgot to lock my truck and he didn't get anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I've never had anything else like that. That was the one time. And that truck was easy to get into. You just slide the back glass door and crawl in.
Mm-hmm. I hear about, I think Denver's #1
Catalytic converter theft.
and just straight car theft.
Yeah. My mom actually was borrowing a friend's car last time she was out here and it got stolen within 20 minutes. She parked it in Denver. I think it was a Subaru of some kind. No, It wasn't. It was a Honda. No, it was a Kia. And I remember because she looked it up and it's like the second most stolen car in the country. But she went inside, visited my stepsister, and then she walked out. Car was gone. 20 minutes. Someone was clearly just chilling out there waiting, watching. And they look for the same amount of cars because they know they can crawl under.
You know how to do it.
Yeah, I looked it up. They crawl under and they will jimmy a screwdriver through this like padding. Like they pull a plug out and they push it through the padding to hit the trunk lever next to the front driver's seat. And then they just open up the trunk, push the seats down, crawl through in, hot wire it, and they take off. And like when you know which model of cars to do it on.
But you can get fast.
Oh, you could do it under a minute. It's crazy, dude. I was watching a guy on video on the YouTube do it. And we almost did it for my buddy's car. We tried to do it because he locked his keys in his car. But we just couldn't get the right leverage on it. And we were afraid to break, something because we didn't want to break his car. But yeah, you can get really good at that. And it's like some Hyundai, not the Honda, but the other one. Hyundai and Honda Civics and a Kia. I think it's Kia Optima. But like of those three makes, they're like the most stolen cars in America. And most stolen in Denver right now. The F-150 is the most. Is the vehicle that gets its catalytic converter cut the most. And dude, they're quick too. Have you watched those videos?
No.
Bro, they like roll around in a van. One guy in the back of the van with just an angle grinder. Another guy in the van as lookout. He pulls up. Dude hops out. He literally will like have a skateboard or what's the official term for it in like a actual car shop? Like something
like dolly something. Yeah, but yeah.
Dolly jack. I don't know. But and like he just throws it down, slides under, and then just angle grinds it off, grabs it, hops in the van, drives off. And it's under a minute for a lot of those. Like they know exactly what to look at. And they especially going after like the older F-150s that are, people often have them lifted or bigger tires on them because they can slide under so easy. Right yeah. That's why I always back my 4Runner up to like the curb of the sidewalk in between other cars. Like I'm super paranoid about it because it's
a little more difficult.
It's happening up here a lot. They're driving up here in northern Colorado to do it a bunch.
I had an employee and he got his car stolen. And so he comes into work and so his car gets jacked. Can't find it. It was on, he had a bunch of neighbors in the neighborhood had it on like a Ring doorbell. Like you could see like from like 10 different cameras, like they come in, they get it, they're gone. And so that car is MIA. He needs a way to get around. So he's taking home one of the company trucks. And then I walk in, I come into the office in the morning. He's had the company truck for like a week. And I'm in here and he shows up to work and his face is beaten to a pulp. And I'm like, he gets here and I'm like, hey man, like what's the deal? And he's like, last night he would stop somewhere. He was probably stopping, getting cigarettes. He's at a gas station, whatever. And he said that someone was trying to steal, he came out and someone was trying to steal the work truck. And there was a guy in it, and he went over there, kind of like you with the crackheads on the radio. Boy. He walks over there. He's like, "Hey, what's going on?" Pulls him out of the car, decks him once, and then 4 other guys come out.
Oh yeah, they're in the van.
4 guys come out and
beat the ever living piss out.
Yeah,
of him.
just pulped his face up. And
That's crazy, dude. Because same thing happened to my uncle. His truck got lifted up at a gas station.
yeah, so it's like
In Denver.
his car got stolen. 3 weeks later, they tried to rip off another car that he was in my truck. Luckily, didn't get away with it. But yeah,
Dude, that's a good employee. Shame you had to terminate him.
yeah.
I mean, that's a good employee thing.
Yeah, it was good.
Good behavior.
I think that's the real story.
Dude, okay. See, that's the same thing. I think your employees, I was going to ask, did you employ my uncle? Because we're not entirely sure his truck got stolen either.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I think that's the real story. But anyways, yeah. So he recovered the truck and he came into work the next day. And whether that was the whole story or not, his face was jacked up.
He could have also just tripped going down the stairs in his house because he was blitzed.
Not this.
This dude didn't drink?
No, he did, but you can't get your face that jacked up from a fall.
Gotcha.
It was like, oh yeah, he had one eye closed, the other side cut. It was bad.
Like, bro, go to the hospital.
It was bad. But
did you have they had insurance through the company, didn't they? Health insurance?
Health insurance, no. Just like
you paid them just enough that they could get Medicaid, but not enough that you had to actually give them health insurance.
Yeah, so they had for my guys, they have workers' comp. So anything that happened to them here on site or on a job, they were covered for that.
Yeah.
Health insurance was up to them outside of the company. It's hard. Like, I want to be someone who is a good employer, and
this shit's expensive,
and it's really hard to
go bankrupt doing it.
Yeah. And the thing is you typically, you could set up lots of smaller companies and lots of small, like, blue collar type companies. You can offer health insurance, but it all just gets pulled right out of their paycheck.
Yeah,
and so
those guys
opt
get
out.
So pissed. They're like, dude, don't take any money out of my paycheck.
So that's the deal there. And it's like, yeah, I want to figure out a way to do that, but I don't know. So
yeah, I mean, I think you only, there's only one guy working for you right now, and he's not, you don't have insurance for him, do you?
Right now?
Yeah.
No.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, but I think it's a wise choice.
Yeah. Yep.
You gotta, here's the thing, man. I was told by the last 3 coworkers who just retired, all 3 of them said the same thing to me. They said, you won't have a retirement account with how quickly health rates are going up. He's like, health insurance rates are skyrocketing in the last 5 years of this job. And like, you're not going to have a retirement account because soon, like, your health insurance for you, your wife, your kids is going to eat your whole paycheck. And like, these are dudes who, they worked for like 40 years, 45 years at, loyal company. And they're like, dude, it used to be that it was $25 a month when I started this job, corporate job, to pay for health insurance for me, my wife, and my kids. $25 a month. Now it's like, at minimum, like the lowest I've seen at any of my companies I've worked at was $250 for a family, like you, your wife, and like 1 or more children. And that was $250 per paycheck.
And that's probably pretty minimal. Like, just
that's the lowest I've seen.
Yeah, and it's probably like the coverage probably isn't great. It's just like catastrophic. Like something really bad has to happen to you to get covered for it.
It's ludicrous, man. Like here's the big thing is, like, I'm not too big on like a ton of government regulation in the private market. Like I do believe in capitalism. I know I'm a pig, whatever. But I will say, like, if there's anything that I am super pro for, I am pro, like, figuring out affordable universal healthcare, because I think it's bonkers with how expensive healthcare is in the US. And I used to think, like, there's no way we could afford to do this. Like, there's just too many people in the US. But then I see how much freaking money the US just throws out to anything. Gosh, I don't even know what the number is that we've sent overseas to fight our proxy war in Ukraine. But it's crazy. And I remember I was doing the math. I added it all up. about a month ago, and now there's more that's been sent since then. But I added it up and I was like, dude, like if that was divided across like all American households, which I think there's technically like, it's like 70 million US households. I can't remember. But like pretty much if you divide it across all that, like you could cover everyone's health insurance with just as much money as we sent to Ukraine in this year, which is like pretty nuts to think about. Not to mention if we, taxed corporations and things a little bit more for it, we could definitely afford to do it, which is just, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, I don't want to be paying for some freeloaders healthcare, but it's also like, dude, like I was in Norway and I was in rural Norway. At minimum, the closest emergency room for any kind of health, like the closest health clinic, was a 3-hour drive and a 1-hour ferry ride. And this dude in front of me, this old man, we were hiking up this mountain. Old man has a heart attack. I catch him as he's going down, and his son is a doctor. And his son runs up, pulls out his phone on top of like this mountain hill, calls, and in 20 minutes, there was this speed slick helicopter flying down the fjord to us, comes over where we're at. I'm trying to keep this guy's like trying to take care of him. I didn't have to do CPR. Like he never went into cardiac arrest, but he was having a heart attack. And dude, they show up, they never even touch the ground. They like just hover about maybe 20 feet off the ground is where the door to the helicopter was. And you just like straight up rappel out of the helicopter, hook him up in a cot, cinch him up, and then they just rappel back up into it, and then they fly off. And Tomas gets a call about 25-30 minutes later. Your father's going into open heart surgery. Like, it's what we have to do. And he's like, great, cool. And I was like, that was the most impressive cinematic I've ever seen. Like, we would have to take 2 modes of transportation, 4 to 5 hours if we had no traffic to get to the hospital. And you made that phone call, and a Flight for Life helicopter with a professional team was here in like under 30 minutes to get your father to the healthcare he needs. Like he got there in under an hour. And he's like, I remember Tomas looking at me. He's like, yeah. That's why I give wheelbarrows of cash and taxes. Because, he's a doctor in Norway. He makes stacks, right? He makes, I know he makes quite a bit because he's been a doctor for a while. And he's just like, it is hard. It is hard seeing wheelbarrows full of money go away each year. But that's why I do it, for that kind of healthcare. And I'm okay with it, And some people take advantage of it, but it worked right now for my father, and he's going to live. And he did it. He's still alive today. The old man's still kicking today. He's got a cow artery and a defibrillator or whatever in his heart. Not a defibrillator. A
pacemaker.
Yeah.
It just
every day, just a little bit of juice.
Juice him up. Yeah, man. I feel similarly.
It's hard, dude. Like,
I've come around to it,
especially if you've been on Medicaid. Like you know how much money Medicaid saves you. And a lot of people aren't ever on it, but dude, I was on Medicaid a lot when I was in college, making next to nothing. And I was like, dude, I just picked up some like a eczema steroid ointment that would have cost me like $300 for $3. Like, that's bonkers.
Yep. And that is where I think, on my limited knowledge of how the whole system works, that right there is it's the medicines like that probably cost $3 to make.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
And so that sort of stuff is where, I think I'm cautious around government regulation and handouts and sort of things. But when it comes to the healthcare thing, I've started to come around to, man, if there's a way for us to do it, it would be good for a lot of people. Yeah. And I think that there's so much noise around. There's certain hot button topics. And so, like, I feel like so many people, myself included, just don't have the real education on maybe how doable certain things are, you know.
Yeah, I'm with
Something
you
like
too.
that.
And what was his name? Andy Wang, who was running for president. Andrew Chang.
I don't remember.
Dude, I feel awful that I just said Andy Wang, and I think his name is Andrew Chang.
That's pretty close. You're only like 2 letters off.
Yeah, but someone's going to say that was kind of racist. Anyways, you know what's funny too? Is that they kept on saying his name wrong at the presidential debates.
Really?
Yeah, where was him and like all the other Democrats? They like the addresser was like, Daniel Shang, would you like to respond to this comment? And he was like, every time he was like, Andrew Chang. And it was just like, it was just ridiculous. But like, dude was really nice and patient. But he's actually really educated, I think, from what I've heard from people who listen to a lot of his stuff that like went to his talks. Like he has the actual like accounting numbers like based out of like where this money would come from, what the tax rate would have to be for all American households to pretty much have access to this. And it's one of those things that's like a lot of people think like, well, geez, we got 370 something million people in America. Or were you going to be like, if one person, you know, has a heart attack and that heart attack or, you know, hospital visit ends up costing, you know, 50 to 100 grand for their one thing. That's 150 to 100 grand for 370 million people. That there's not that much money in the world. And it's like, well, here's the thing. Just how banks don't really have your money in them. You know, they loan your money out. The government would only tax what they think would be necessary for, well, that's assuming like the government would overstep. But the idea is that like the government only needs to tax what they think of the whole population who's actually going to the hospital to like do this stuff. And dude, another thing is like in Norway and like these countries that have free healthcare, like Canada and stuff, apparently corporations make more money from the government than they do from us and like private insurance.
Really?
Yeah, because it's like it's just government spending and like it can kind of be written off and stuff, and like they can kind of just give the government like a quote of like, hey, here's how much his visit costs, and the government's like, all right, well we don't have the manpower to really like or the time to really go to court over this, so like IRS is going to catch you one day, but maybe not today, right? And so it's one of those things that like apparently it's more profitable for the private, like for the companies that, you know, are doing this medical stuff. And like I always heard like the arguments too of like, well, dude, I don't want to wait 3 days to get my broken arm looked at. And I'm like, yeah, bro, but like I've had my finger almost falling off in the ER in America. And like it took like 7 hours for someone to come and like look at my finger. And then like at the point they were like, oh yeah, good thing you're here. If you waited any longer, you know, you might start getting an infection. I'm like, bro, I've been out in the waiting room for 7 hours with this thing. Like I've had a string and a Band-Aid wrapped around it so it wouldn't keep gushing blood on the floor. Like,
yeah.
And I kind of like, I think like, yeah, you know, that's ridiculous that how long people wait in Canada to get like basic health care looked at. But I'm like, oh, man, like I also wait that long too. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like I've definitely spent a long time waiting for basic stuff like that.
Yeah. Cause here we wait. We put it off because we don't have to necessarily foot the bill sometimes too. That's the thing.
Pay it,
yeah.
dude.
So you're trying to wait it out. Like I've played that game and won, and I've played that game and lost too. Like it's a trying to, should I go in? It's expensive. I don't know. And
that's why you got scoliosis, dude. Scoliosis? Scoliosis? I don't know how to say it either.
Yeah, I don't have that, but I'm glad. I know people who do, and if they had gotten it looked at sooner,
different story,
could be in a better shape.
Yeah, I think like it's pretty telling too. Like I remember being a kid and I hit my head snowboarding pretty hard. Definitely got a concussion. Like hit my head, stumbled like over to the like ski area, like not the med tent even. Like I didn't want to go to the med tent because I was like, they're gonna call an ambulance. So I went to the bathroom, threw up. And I mean, part of it, I'm like, I don't know if that's necessarily from like hitting my head so hard, but you know where it is, like when you hit your head on your car door and it hurts so bad that you like makes your stomach upset. I was rolling down the hill when I wiped out on my snowboard like this, right? And so like I'm sure all of it kind of factored together, but I threw up and I walked out. My snowboard instructor that day, because it was like a weekend class thing, and they were like, "Hey, you all right, man?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just threw up, man." Like, and I was like, I think 7th grade.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, you hit your head and threw up. All right, we're going to the clinic right now. I'm like, no. My mom will rip me a new ass if you call an ambulance, and I have to ride in this ambulance to like Denver or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember I was down there in the clinic, and they kept on being like, dude, we have to call one because your mom's not here. You know, we're technically we have to make a medical decision for what's best for you. Mm-hmm. And I just like, I remember just like, I made it up. I didn't throw up. I didn't hit my head. I made it up. And they were just looking at me, and they like knew I was just saying that because I was like, please don't give my mom this bill. My mom was like a nurse, so she had good health care for us. But I still knew like ambulance equals huge debt. Ambulance, one, you know, like a lot of people, like they get one ambulance ride, and like with what they have left over to pay over from, like even after insurance, like often it's like the difference between like your kid's college savings fund.
It can be a lot. I was in the hospital once, and I had to get moved from one hospital to another because I was a minor still. And so I had to get to the children's hospital for the procedure they were going to do. And I was totally stable, like totally fine.
Yeah.
Enough to like just get in a car, but I had to be moved in an ambulance. And so we did a 20-minute ambulance ride. And I think it, just off the top of my, I think it was like a $10,000 bill somewhere in there, something local like that.
That makes sense. That sounds right.
And they didn't have to administer anything on it, whatever. It's just like to roll down. So yeah, I think we should have, I think we could devote it like an 8-episode, series on American healthcare system. And
okay. That's different than what I was going to say, but yeah, I agree.
And get some like
Andrew Chang. I didn't vote for you. I wasn't going to vote for you, but if you want to talk about it, come on.
Exactly. Get some people in here who know more than we do about it and who can open up the discussion on it from both sides and say why it's good or say why it's bad, and hopefully help us all understand a little more about it. I think we've been rolling for an hour 20.
Yeah, I would say before we cut it off here and wrap it up, if you're interested, I got a lot of really good medical stories. I was in the hospital a lot as a kid, not because I was fragile, just because I was a hooligan. And if you guys want to hear an episode where we just talk about really graphic, go into good description of, some gnarly injuries or being sick or whatever, I think we have enough content to devote a whole episode to that.
We could do another, probably even a whole series on some.
I don't know if I have that many stories, but
this also involves some other individuals coming on telling about their experiences out there in the world.
Yeah, we could just call it we just call the episode like Crash Test Dummies or something like that. Because I mean, like, none of my stories are going to be like really traumatic, Like, I kind of feel like we should have a clear comedic line in it where it's like, I don't want someone coming and being like, yeah, and I dumped on a grenade and it blew my legs off.
That's why I'm still hooked on opioids.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh shit, that's real stuff. Okay. Like, that's not comedy, right? I feel bad about that.
Oh yeah.
If you're a veteran though, or you got some stories like that you want to tell in a comedic way, love to have you on.
Oh yeah.
But I don't really like making light of that stuff when it's like permanent life altering stuff,
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. There's a line in some of those, it's funny that you medical professionals and vets out there,
you clearly cross it every day.
You might not know the line anymore.
That's fine. I mean, I don't even really know where the line is too much anymore. But anyways, we should wrap it up. I feel like this was good. Thanks for joining us. Anything you want to say, Pat, to our fans? Anything you want to remind them of? Anything you want to say to the kin?
To the kin out there. Yeah, if you're tuning in, if you're listening to this still at this point, an hour and 20 in, we appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in.
3 listeners in Myanmar.
Yeah, and you bots out there, we appreciate you. But yeah, if you're listening to this podcast, if you like what you're hearing, consider leaving a review wherever you're listening to it at. And here's the deal that stands with all of our podcasts: 5-star reviews with the best roasts in the comments will be read on future shows.
Yeah, get dirty, about those roasts. Like, make me like want to go cry to my mom. Like, the harsher and funnier. I mean, like, if they're just vulgar, like, that's not always funny, but make them really good.
Yeah. Put your wit in there. Put a little bit of wit in there.
Alrighty, well, this has been another Mick and Pat podcast. We appreciate you guys for listening, and take care.
Thanks for tuning in. If you love this episode, drop us a review. If you have qualms or comments, leave us a voicemail on our website. While you're there, check out our latest news, merch, and deals from our sponsors. Till next time, Ken.